Well, good morning. You're watching New Car Spin. I'm your host, Brian, and with me is Yale.
Resident fanboy, Toyota fanboy, Yale.
Yep. What do we have here, Yale?
And behold, the RCF, not just any RCF, but the Fuji edition.
Yeah, so I've made up my mind here. I know what RCF stands for.
What does it stand for?
Race Car Fanboy.
Well, you'll like this one.
Yeah. So there's the F for fanboy, which everyone corrected me on the first RCF saying, no, F stands for Fuji, right? And then what happens? Lexus comes out with the RCF Fuji Speedway edition, which is what we have here. They're only making 60 of these, Yale.
60.
6-0.
After having driven this, I think they've probably sold all 60. If they haven't, you may want to pick one up.
Well, I mean, today, everyone knows what I think of the RCF,
Right.
but I think the Supra can eat its lunch. But this one's a little different. It has brakes from the LFA. It has all new changes to the drivetrain. The engine's the same. The power is delivered differently through different gear ratios. It has carbon fiber from the LFA factory. You can see the carbon fiber wing here, which has the F, Fanboy F built into it. Actually, F stands for Fuji, so this is the RC Fuji Speedway edition. So you see the exhaust, the splitter. And what are we doing today, Yale?
We're going to Houston.
We are going to go to Houston because only 60 of these are going to exist in the United States or the world. I'm not sure which one that is. And we have it for a week, and I can bore you with the stats and the crap about it that you can research yourself online. But what you would want to know is, what is the RCF Fuji like to drive? So we'll take it on a road trip to Houston, which is about a 3.5-hour drive, right?
Yeah, each way.
Yeah, okay. So we're gonna drive to Houston for you, and we're gonna tell you what it's like. And we'll just give you that experience. That way you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, 1 of 60, and I have it for a week.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think what we'll do is hit the road. We're not gonna do a fuel economy test. We're not gonna do that.
No.
And we'll just show you what it's like. I don't think anyone will ever road trip 1 of 60, but we're doing it because we can. What do you think? Good idea?
Good.
Okay. So here's the key. Oops. It's just the standard Lexus key. Yep. And yeah, let's get inside. I'll show you the red carpet and all that. Red carpet, red suede, black seat belts. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty tight in here. What do you think? Tight as in like tight?
It's tight.
F logo.
Yeah, it's tight. But I would say, you sit in this and the seat goes back. You got plenty of space. Not a fully, what would you say, Brian? Functional rear seats?
No, this is a GT though. This is a GT. This is not a sports car. Well, the way we're going to use it today, it's a GT. Yeah. So it's similar to the regular RCF. The only difference is this carbon fiber down here, the ground effect. When you try and get in, I mean, that is a huge gap, and you can see all the scuff marks on the sill here from getting in and out, because there's just so much you have to do to get your ass planted into this part of the seat. And so from here to here, that's over a foot. Easily. Look at that. That's a size 12 shoe. It's crazy. So, carbon fiber roof. Let's pop the hood, actually. Which, when you pull the release, it's really super light because there's no weight to this hood. It's composite and carbon. Go ahead.
So light.
Oh yeah. Naturally aspirated V8. The same one you get in the RCF. Not the Fanboy F, not the Fuji F. You see the composite here.
Wow.
Super light, super ready to roll. These are the upgraded headlights. We have headlight washers, which are amazing. Every time I use them, yeah, you'll notice it. carbon fiber down here. Just everything about this vehicle is the way an RCF should have been from the beginning.
Yeah.
So
look at the spindle. I like that. I mean,
the back and forth.
Yeah, the back and forth. It looks like
the weave.
Yeah.
Well, we're at a truck stop here off of 45, and we're just 10 miles south of Dallas.
Yeah.
You can also see the red weave and the carbon fiber. That's exclusive to the RCF. And you can get this in this gray or white. I don't even know the exact colors that they call them, but gray or white. So let's get in. All right, now turn it on, foot on the brake. It's kind of like, I wish they had put a really tricked out exhaust system on it to make it sound like more race car like, especially when you start it up. There's a lot of cars that
left, and then right turn.
We already have our nav set up to take us to Houston. 3.5 hour drive exactly. So we're not gonna race anybody, but I think we can beat that easily. What do you think?
I think we'll come in.
Hold that for a second.
Sure.
I'm gonna move my mic. Maybe I'll do this.
While he's doing that, let me just show you really quickly.
Yeah.
Lots of space here. I mean, I got a friend who's 6'3", and I'll probably give him a ride this week in this thing and see how it goes. This seat goes all the way back, and you just got a ton of space. Kind of a dated center console, though.
Oh, I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks that.
Yeah, and I'm the fanboy, right? And dated center console, Anyways, I was gonna say something about it, but
well, it's why I like the LC better than this, because the LC is much more up to date, even though it has the same engine.
Oh yeah.
And it costs the same as this car. This is $102,000. I actually have the window sticker, which you'll only see 60 of these window stickers in the world. There you go, 102.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah. So it has a couple options. The platinum triple beam LED lights, nav system. I even have an option here for the alloy wheel locks and the carpeted trunk mat. And then the intuitive parking assistant. I don't know what that is. I haven't seen intuitive parking. I've just seen parking sensors. So there is no heated and cooled seats. Let's go over here to the engine for a second. So 472 horsepower. It's the same one in the RCF, but they've done something differently behind everything behind the flywheel to the differential, and then the brakes are the LFA brakes. So everything here is hardcore. There's a huge difference between the RCF and the RCF Fuji Speedway. Huge. This is the car the RCF should have been. Okay. So there's a little scratch on there. Oh, it's sticky stuff. All right. So we're gonna hit the road. We have launch control just like the 2020 RCF had, and our normal modes, normal, custom, and sport plus, and then eco if you are
running low on gas.
Yeah, that's pretty much all that is. And it detunes the AC and stuff, so you will be yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go that way so that we don't have to get lost here on the whole U-turn shenanigan stuff. Go left.
Next right, and then left turn.
Cool. So we are going to be in normal mode this
Next left, and
portion.
then right turn. Next right, and then right turn.
It has your typical RCF sound.
In a quarter of a mile, right turn.
Go ahead and focus that way. We'll double click on the thing. There you go. Right turn. Okay, I get it.
Next Next right.
I do want
and
to
then
talk about.
Right turn.
I do want to talk about the gas pedal. It's very deep.
1/10 of a mile. Right turn.
There's a lot of depth to the gas pedal, and a part of that is it affects the way the gear changes are, as far as like downshifting.
Keep left onto I-45 south.
So downshiftting wise, you have to put your foot in it really hard because the pedal travel is really long. And once you get used to the long pedal travel, you'll still have to adapt to it because in the different drive modes, there's a lot going on here.
I-45 south.
In sport mode, it's obviously going to hold the gear changes longer, but it's also going to change the throttle mapping. So off the line, there's a good bite to it, but then there's a half the pedal travel just in the dead center. It doesn't really like to downshift in normal mode, but in sport mode, you do get the shifts you want. But there are times where, if you look over here, Yale, if I pull the paddle, that's a huge delay between when I order something and when it comes up. So you have to plan ahead, way ahead in traffic, just because of that delay. Ready? You'll see it's in 6th gear. I pull the paddle. Now you see the RPMs go up. It won't even shift. Look at that. So it's pretty frustrating, and I'm not sure if this is a pre-production model and that's just kind of a quirk with a car that maybe this is not a part of the 60 allocation and it gets crushed later, or maybe this is just how they are. So we're just driving this on a road trip to do it because I don't think anyone else will do it, and especially an owner, they're not going to put that many miles for no reason on a car that's so rare. So the best thing that Yale and I can do for you guys is just give you an example of what a real GT is like, because this is finally a real GT. And as far as $102,000, it's cheaper than a lot of the other real GTs out there, but this really feels it finally. So what do you have to say about that, Yale?
Yeah, having driven this earlier this week, I would say this car, it's got a lot of rigidity to it. So it's got a sports feel to it, and just it's a lot of fun. I'm really surprised, that this has got the Lexus moniker and it feels so sporty, and they made it. With the carbon fiber everywhere and just the accent pieces, it feels like a tuner car almost.
Yeah,
a luxury tuner car.
It does. And I don't know what kind of tuning you can do to this. I would never tune a car like this. It does not need it. It's turnkey and you just go with it.
Yep.
And if you think about it, I've had this conversation with people. Before I get to that conversation, we do have to be at the NRG Center in Houston for the Houston Auto Show. So if you see here, it says ETA 1037. Let me have that for a second. Let me reset this. Okay, so if you see here, 1037 is the arrival time. We have to be there at 10:30 for the reveal of, well, not that it's already been revealed, for the, the presentation of the Ford Bronco, the full size.
Yep.
And then the Ram, or the Jeep.
Wagoneer.
No. Is it the Jeep? Yeah, the Grand Wagoneer. So we're going all the way to Houston just for that. So it's a 4-hour drive, or 3.5 to get to where we were. It's a long drive there to spend an hour and a half and then drive all the way back. And I figured, let's shoot this thing, So I do want to talk about, in general, like tuning. So you buy one of these so you can just drive it and then park it, and it becomes a garage queen, or maybe you find another one, maybe you collect all 60, who knows, right?
Huh.
But the thing is, I was sitting with another journalist last week, and we were having a discussion about tuning and things. Like right now, it's pretty easy to go get a car. Like even you, Yale, you want to get a car and tune it and turn it into something special, right? this is already special. You don't have to do that. But a normal car, yeah, you know, find the right one and go after it and throw some stuff on it. Do a stage 1, stage 2, whatever. The problem is there's so many CUVs and SUVs and trucks being sold right now, and then even in the last 5 years, that 10 years from now, even 20 years from now, there will be even fewer cool cars to tune. And people think millennials don't like to drive. Millennials this, millennials that. And we're Gen X. But the thing is, even as Gen X, I will have a harder and harder time 10, 20, 30 years from now to find those cool cars that can be tuned. Because no one's going to tune a Toyota CHR. No one's going to care about a RAV4 or the Highlander hybrid. Like, you can't do anything to those. You just throw them away. So in this world of cars that you can't tune, your best and only option in 10 to 20 years might be this car. And you're just going to have to pay up. So the service we're doing for you today is for 10 to 20 years from now. Hopefully it's still on YouTube. But what is today? May 19th, 2021? We're taking a drive all the way to Houston. You get to feel the experience. Let me show you here how many miles we have. Right there. 1,540 miles on this car. So I think I am the first journalist to drive this car in Texas. I think there are a few of them on the market right now that Lexus is putting around the country. So I could do a review and talk about horsepower and the size of the brakes and boring stuff that you can look up on Wikipedia, or I could do this. I know what I'd rather do. Let's put it in sport mode. It has adaptive damping suspension, so when you put it in sport mode, it stiffens up a little bit, the steering stiffens up, and you can see the speedo changes. You can see a big fatter number for your gear selection. I can put it in manual mode, and I can downshift, red line, upshift. So we're moving along quite well. Pan over here. Pretty good. Now it's actually shifting a little faster. The response from the paddles is better. Right? And that's that mode. If I put it into Sport Plus, okay, now we get the full beans. I'm not sure if it's doing anything other than throttle mapping. Oh, I feel more acceleration. I don't know if you do, Yale, but it's definitely a stiffer ride too. It's probably not
you definitely see the difference in the active damping from normal to a Sport Plus.
I think the ride is not the only stiff thing about this car right now. oh, that's a bumpy ride, yeah. It's not a really harsh gear change either. You know, in Sport Plus, I figured it would be like a Mercedes AMG just wants to kind of hurt you a little bit. Mm-hmm. This is still smooth, mm-hmm. and it's a little. It's more GT-like than just a brute car. Sure. This is still trying to do something where you and I can take a road trip in it and be like, yeah, that was an effortless trip, right? And we're not going to break, time records or something. We're just taking a drive. So we can change the drive modes, we can relax, we can chill, or we can pass people, I mean, whatever. But the point of this car is to get behind the wheel and get to where you're going comfortably and quickly. Yeah. So that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. I think one of the things we observed when we first got this car, it feels like it just wants to eat up miles. Just go and go and go and go. And so this will be a good trip for us to just experience some of that, put it through its paces for a GT experience.
Yeah.
And I suspect it's going to be, I remember when I first drove the C7 Grand Sport Corvette, And you know, you put in your nav your destination, and you always arrive way earlier than you'd suspect.
Yeah.
I imagine this will be one of those.
Oh yeah, this is the same.
Yeah.
This is the same. Also, with the LFA brakes, you see down there that gauge. That's the G meter, whatever, G-force meter. On the bottom half of the circle, the left quarter of it is the brake force. I've never had to go past half force on the braking.
Yeah, and you've hit the brakes pretty hard.
Hard. And I can only imagine what a full hard stop would be in this car, because these brakes are amazing.
Yep.
This is probably the best braking setup beyond the Bugatti Pure Sport. This is one of the purest, most balanced, perfect bias, everything about these brakes. Like, the pressure is always consistent, and the braking force is just tremendous. So the brakes in here, if you have your regular RCF, definitely see if you can get these RCF Fuji brakes on, because that's the only mod I would do, basically. If you cannot find an RCF Fuji because there's only 60 of them, buy an RCF, mod it with the brakes first. The other thing too is, well, I'm gonna break my own rule here and pass on the right. Because people just laying hog over there. I like to drive where there's no one around. It's a little safer that way. Yep. Just cruising along. Let's see if I let you hold that there. Oh, that's what I was going to talk about. It eats the miles, right?
Yeah.
But it also eats the fuel.
Yeah, it definitely does that.
And
it's not like, oh, it eats the fuel because it's a V8. We recognize it's a V8, but it eats its fuel for a V8. It feels like.
Well,
at least for me.
I mean, it's a V8, and I need to use the V8 like a V8 should be used.
Right.
And well, yeah, I'm not doing a fuel economy run. This isn't a test to show you anything about fuel efficiency. If you can afford this car, you don't care about the fuel efficiency. The only thing you might care about is how many laps you could do on a track, right? But I know that in our drive, which is 216 miles, let me see if I can pull the range up here. Let's go to 226 miles. So we might make it. I don't think we will make it though, because that's an estimate.
Right.
That's not. So we have a variable that is going to change, and yeah, that.
Sure.
So for what we're doing, it's not a fuel economy run. This is not a time trial. This is just, what is an RCF Fuji like on a road trip? Because no one else is ever going to do this. By the way, if you can look in the mirror there and see the wing, it's pretty cool.
See the what?
The wing.
Yeah.
You probably can't get it. I'll get it. There you go. That's cool. If you do it just right, if you're ahead of enough traffic, you can completely block out their headlights by using the wing.
Huh. Or you can just watch it disappear, fade away.
Yeah. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but we're not going to do any editing. That's not what we do on New Car Spin on YouTube, and we just keep it real. So there's no cheesy effects, no vloggy kind of. I'm not an influencer. I don't even consider myself a YouTuber. I'm a journalist, an automotive journalist, and what I do is, for you, is my job is to journal the experience. And I'm not here to sell you. I'm not here to pitch. If I don't like it, I don't like it. I already told you I did not like the RCF. I think the regular RCF was the worst Lexus ever made. My resident Toyota fanboy, Yale,
that's a statement,
disagrees. A lot of commenters on YouTube disagree. But look what Toyota or Lexus did is they come out with this one. So were they listening to me or not? Because if you guys like that RCF enough, then it was good enough. But in the relentless pursuit of perfection, obviously it wasn't enough, and now they have this. And so if you're a hardcore Toyota fanboy and you can afford it, you must have this car. I would be torn between this and an LC500.
Man, yeah.
But, I mean, obviously the no-brainer would be buy this, because anyone can get an LC500.
Right, there's only 60 of these. You've got 2 extra seats in the back.
Yeah. Well, the LC has that. They're smaller, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But I think the LC has more space, and obviously it's got a better look, even though...
The dash is amazing.
But it's the same tech. It's the same tech. It's funny, like, that LC still has more room for improvement, too. And I don't know how long it will take Toyota to get around to that. I'm sorry, Lexus. But we're just going to do what we're supposed to do here today. Journal the drive. I think it's time to put my shades on. Yeah, so as an automotive journalist, I'm not here to pose. I'm not showing you collecting my new car. I'm just given this car for a week by Lexus. It's pretty cool because a week with a car that they're only making 60 of is hardcore. I've driven another car that they only made 60 of, but I only drove it for a couple hours, and that's the Bugatti Chiron Pure Sport. Also a 2-door, but no back seat. Plus double the engine size, 16 cylinders versus 8.
Yeah, and how many times the price tag?
Yeah, a lot. $4 million.
Yeah.
So you could probably buy 40 of these. Yeah. For $4 million, you could get a Bugatti Chiron Pure Sport, or you can buy 40 out of 60 Lexus RCF Fujis. And then that would beg the question, if you are like an investor, Bugatti won't sell you a car. Bugatti only sells cars to owners, right? If you were a SPAC or some kind of like equity group or family fund, you could probably go buy 40 of these, park them and store them for like 10 years. And when that time comes when you can't tune a Highlander hybrid, the only option left on the road would be, the Civic Type R, which is already pretty much tweaked up to the max, right? Golf GTI. Well, what's left, right? They're all tweaked already. So you'd probably choose some older vehicles. And this is the other thing. This car's been around for a long time. I think, when did this come out? 2008?
Yeah.
And it's
been around for a while.
It hasn't really changed. So it's not like you're getting the new car that might have some quirks or issues, like maybe the LC. This car's been around long enough so that the internet has documented all the issues or all the quirks, or like where the rust spots might be in the future. You'll know.
Just showing the viewers around the cabin.
I don't have a no smoking sign, but the smoking goes on the outside, not on the inside. I haven't lit the tires up in here, but my impression is that it could easily do that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just goes and goes.
Yeah, I have to kind of keep my eyes open here for the law. Have that for a second. Yeah.
car, it seems like we get a lot more people moving out of the way for you.
I think it's just my driving style, to be honest.
No, I think it's the car.
No. No, we're closing in on people pretty quick, but I mean, that's what I do. Well, it might be the car, but that they're not braking, because in some cars that come up on people, they brake.
Yeah.
And you'll notice when I downshift, there's no blipping. On the RCF,
Right.
it blips a little bit, especially under braking. I haven't even gone past half the braking on here, not like threshold braking, but just normal braking. So this guy slows down and speeds up. It won't upshift. Wow. Okay. I had to lift off the throttle for that one. And when I lifted it, did it shift from 6 to 8? I don't know. I don't know what just happened there, but we're in drive mode, so weird. That's kind of the frustrating thing about what I'm experiencing behind the wheel here is sport mode, using the paddle shifters. It's not always doing what I want it to do. So when I pull the paddles, I have a plan. I want to pass, or I want to take a corner, and I pull the paddle. Where's my gear? That's the problem I've been having in this car. Not sure if it's pre-production or not, but it still has plenty of brakes to fix that issue if you have to hit the brakes hard. But I'm not getting what I want, and what's the point of having paddles if they're not going to do anything for you? I could knock it into manual mode. It seemed to do it under hard acceleration, right? So if we show this, up, it did it there. Yeah, so in regular drive mode, it refuses. You'd have to knock it into manual every time, right? I think that's what we just discovered.
Well, and I mean, I haven't looked at the torque curve, but having driven this, it's got torque. It's got torque everywhere, it feels like. And
it won't upshift.
It's a naturally aspirated engine.
Okay. So yeah, it does not upshift when you want it to. Even in Sport Plus mode, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. Well, now we're in manual, so it's going to do it. Man, in Sport Plus, the ride is just unforgiving. I could not drive all the way to Houston in Sport Plus mode.
Is there a way to customize it where you can get the mapping?
There is.
Okay.
There is. So you go to menu, here, setup.
You get the mapping, but not the suspension, perhaps.
Vehicle. What's going on here? Oh, I think it won't do it when we're driving. Normal.
We don't have time to stop.
What's going on here? Okay, so I push down. Normal, custom.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Okay, so I have to configure custom. So I also don't like this trackpad. I never did. Yeah, we can't do it. We have to be stopped.
Alright, well, no time to stop. Just time to go.
Go back to the map here. It does not have heated seats.
No, definitely doesn't. And then when you look at these, they got little perforations down here, so I thought ventilated. But no, it's just a style thing.
You have to show it on camera. Whatever you talk about on camera, you gotta show.
Here, I'll show you back here.
There you go.
Perforation. Yeah.
here in the climate system, we have options, but it's only dual, which dual is backwards. I think dual is like sync 'em. Dual is not sync. Dual is sync off. And then we have a filter here, particulate filter. And then if I go back, this is the setting. So yeah, there's no heated or cooled seats on here. There will be on the LC 500. So in Texas, you know, with this fabric, it is a warm, clingy fabric upholstery, and I think I would want vented seats in here.
About the grip.
About what?
The grip, how this the tires.
There's a balance between the handling and the grip. If I push this hard in a corner, not hard, but if I try and feel the corner with the car, I notice that the rear end behaves a little differently than I expected, but it has grip to kind of make up for that. And we're not talking like, you know, 90 mile an hour on a track kind of cornering. I'm talking about, you know, a typical cloverleaf exit kind of ramp deal. Mm-hmm. It feels like it has this bite to it. So it has a little bit of a bounce. There's some damping, and then it bites and it grips and it bounces, damps, bites, grips, bounce, damp. So it just goes back and forth between those. So again, that's what I would call a balance, because it's predictable, and as long as it's predictable, I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And at first, these tires look and they kind of feel like our compound tires. Mm-hmm. I think they're just the Michelin
Pilot Sport 4S.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great tires.
I'm not a fan of these 18-inch wheels though. They're tiny. That's the problem with such an old car, is you can't get 20s on here. You're not getting what you can get on the LC.
Yeah, but can you imagine if you were on that Sport S Plus mode and you're in 20s and hitting some bumps?
Yeah, you'll go over it better. Because there are bumps on the road, yes, but not really on the racetrack. A bumpy racetrack, you're gonna laugh at it.
These 18s are forged BBS lightweight wheels. I'm sure they add a little bit to the performance capabilities with the unsprung weight.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan of the way these wheels look. They look old. It already dates the car, just like this interior. But you have to just kind of like close your eyes and realize, well, 10 years from now, and this is why I don't talk about design, because 10 years from now, you don't know what will look good over time.
Sure.
Because right now, everyone wants a BMW clown shoe, which is that Z3 converted into a hatchback, which some people might call a shooting brake, that has that M3 engine in it, and no one ever really liked the look of it, but now people kind of like it because it's different and funky. And who knew in 2000 that SUVs and trucks would be all the rage now?
Right.
And it kind of has like that hatchback SUV look, but it's low down and sporty. Well, back then, if you were to talk about that in a review, you'd look like a fool now, because everyone wants one and they're paying a lot of money for it. So maybe a coupe 10 years from now, it will be so rare that people are sick of SUVs and CUVs and trucks, and they want something low to the ground, something that can take corners and be impervious to crosswinds, things like that, this might be like a no-brainer choice. Who knows? I mean, I don't know. Which is why I won't comment on it. I just think that the dated aspect of it is the stale part of the interior. There are no curves in here, right? Everything's kind of symmetrical and balanced in a way. It doesn't flow. There's nothing like a turning leaf like there is in the LC, and there's no massive wheels to kind of keep up with the trend. You look outside, it's 18-inch wheels. It looks like Mercedes did that in 2004, right? With a contrast black with the aluminum edge or the alloy edge. There's just certain looks about this RCF that I think, well, is that trying to be a BMW M4? Is that trying to be a Mercedes CL? Like, I think Lexus tried hard to compete, and I think they never really did enough. But the RCF Fuji finally does it. And then they go, yeah, we're making 60 of them. And that's something that Lincoln did. Lincoln did that with their Continental, right? They had the new Continental come out, and then the sales were blah, the interior was blah. And then for the last year, what did Ford do? They said, hey, we're doing a Lincoln Continental, and we're making it with suicide doors, like the original.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's going to be like blah, blah, blah. Really extra special, super cool. But we're only making 80 of them. And they all sold out right away.
Wow.
It's like, if you sold out right away because you finally made the one everyone wants, what were you doing this whole time? And I have a problem with those types of product managers or MBAs who kind of just give you, it's like if you go to a restaurant and they're like, oh, would you like some cheese on that? And you're like, yeah. And they just go once. And they're like, no, I want more. Another one. More. Instead of keep going until I tell you to stop. Now, there is not really much of a car company out there that just keeps going until I say, stop, I've had enough. But the experience is totally different. Like when you go to a nice restaurant and the chef or the manager or somebody hooks you up and they just keep bringing things out. And whether it's a hot date or you're out with friends and you're partying and you're like, okay, all right, you tap out. This, I'd imagine, is, if this was the beginning of the RCF, I would want to see what they can do more and more and more until I tap out, right? And I could say the same thing about the LC. They could do more, obviously, but I'm not at the point where I want to tap out. This car, if they started with this one, it would make total sense to me that they can keep going and they would dominate. Even with this, I could imagine that if they had made changes, if they moved the air vents up here and they made this whole digital display, that's all they'd have to do.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have to change any of the architecture for the unibody or anything. It would be great.
Yeah. And the LC, you got a heads-up display?
Yes.
Yeah. This you do not.
Nope. And the LC has four-wheel steering.
Oh, that's right.
If you get the optional limited slip diff, which is like $300. It's a ridiculous option. I can't believe we're just cruising at this speed.
It just goes and goes. How's the stereo? How's this Mark Levinson?
It's a little lackluster.
Yeah.
And part of that's because this is definitely a GT, but it's not a loud exhaust, but it's got, I wouldn't even say it's got a lot of I don't know, there's this cabin noise, right?
Yeah.
There's some wind noise behind me here at the B pillar. Back here, I hear it. It's not bothersome, but I'm going at speed where you kind of expect it. I hear no noise up front.
Yeah.
And then when I turn the stereo on, I feel like I already have listening fatigue. because of the cabin noise.
Uh-huh.
And if you listen carefully, it's not really just it's not tires making the noise. It's just the road in general. I can hear the road coming through. Now, in a car for the track, you kind of want that. You want to feel it. You want to taste it. Look at this corner here. This is good.
Well, I think sometimes they take out acoustic material for weight savings.
Well, they haven't really talked about weight savings in this car. If they were to, they would have removed the rear seats, right? They would have removed the navigation. I don't know why we don't have blind spot monitoring in here. I have parking sensors, but I don't have there's no button for it. There's no icon in the mirror. So it is what it is. But the stereo, the Mark Levinson system, it's got some bass. It just has to work hard to make up for the cabin noise. And in the end of it, I notice that when I come to a complete stop, I hear the music. When I'm driving like this, I crank it higher and higher and higher. Sure. But I don't hear anything. Yeah. You know, you can put the world's most expensive stereo in here. I think that'll be your problem.
Yeah.
But this isn't a lightweight version. It's not any different than a normal RCF in terms of the cabin comfort. It's just weird. Like, everything they did was below your feet. I wouldn't be surprised if they did something with lightening up the weight of the drive shaft, or reinforced it, or just did some stuff there to strengthen it for the track. But this is definitely like, we could drive down to Houston, go race down to the track there and drive it back and be like, yep, we nailed it, right?
Yeah.
Anyone who has this can do that. And the one thing I would say it really, really needs, beyond these wheels, is an exhaust system that actually scares me. Because when I start it up, it's just kind of and kind of like the Mercedes is now, except in the Mercedes, if you pull the paddle and start it, it roars to life. This doesn't actually scream or shout like a Corvette would. A Corvette would just be like maniacal, right? You put your foot down and be like, people kind of hear you and you're making a fool of yourself maybe, but at least you're enjoying it. In this thing, there's some cabin noise. It's infused, and you know that between the difference of normal and Sport Plus. As you go through those modes, you can hear it in the cabin differently. But I mean, there's not much else other than a cool, tricked out exhaust system would really, I think, entertain me more in here than the fake sound.
Right, to hear the naturally aspirated V8.
Yeah, I can't hear it. At this speed on this road, I can't hear anything until I put my foot down. But I've driven the GSF from Austin to Dallas. That GSF was an amazing car. It's right there with this, and I'd actually prefer the GSF a little bit more. I don't think they're making any more of them. I had the 10th anniversary edition. It was really cool, blue with the frosted gray paint, the matte paint, and it didn't have this treatment. There was no carbon fiber exposed hood. There was no. It was just sort of like an old school version of an M5 Killer, but it worked. And the price was really good for what it was. And I would say maybe in 5 years, if you're looking for a sports sedan, get the GSF 10th Anniversary Edition, hands down, over an M5. Because it has this engine, just like the LC has this engine. This engine is
it's reliable.
Yeah, it's the best thing for the Lexus. And as much as I don't like that standard RCF, you could buy one and then modify it to be like this. If you can get the suspension nailed down like this one, and the brakes as perfect as this one, you have a decent car. But you know, the normal RCF just doesn't do it. It's floored. That's 127. Coming up on a convoy. I don't know what these things are.
How many miles per gallon do you think those get?
I think they get 4, maybe 5. You have anything else to add, Mr. Toyota fanboy?
I might have to shoot a counterpoint video.
Oh, just tell me right now. Just tell me right now. Let me have it. Come on. What do you got? What do you got?
Yeah, sure. The interior is dated.
Okay.
Okay. Let's say it. But I think in terms of a driving experience, this thing is pretty nice. You know, I got in here when they dropped it off and drove it around, and it had some tightness to the feel, the steering, everything, and you know, and it could just go. I think it turns well. I mean, I don't think it turns in as well as like the Supra 2.0, but I mean, it turns well. It asks what you do of it. It does what you ask of it, and the brakes are amazing. Like, this would be really fun to take on the track. Granted, it's probably a little heavier than most of the cars that you'd want to be out there with, but just to see what the brakes could do, it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I would say this, it's so much fun to drive that you forget about certain things. Like, I didn't even realize that it didn't have the blind spot monitoring until you pointed it out.
You're welcome. Well, look, I'm not comparing it to an M4. I'm not saying, oh, the M4, the understeer, the balance, the this, the that. I'm just like, this is what we're in. This is what I'm talking about. When I do a road trip with the M4, if I ever do, we'll talk about the M4. Will I compare it to this one? Yeah. And we'll see what happens there, but I'm not going to compare this to a car I have not driven. And I think that's important. Like, some people will talk about other cars as if they know what they're talking about. And I think that's just outrageous. Like, oh, I drove one, I test drove one. This is the best part. I test drove a blah, blah, blah. And it was smooth and this and that in like 10 minutes. I mean, 7 days. And we're going to put over 1,000 miles on this in 7 days. And there are only 60 of them. So how many people are actually going to produce this video on this car? So I'm doing you a service, because in the end, it's like, no owner is going to do that for you. They're going to keep it for themselves. They earned it. They bought it. They can do whatever they want. So I'm going to give you an experience. That's all this is. This is not a comparison or a review. You can judge for yourself based on, oh, it doesn't have that, or oh, it has this, or oh, it feels like that. My only job here is to convey you the experience, because I'm journaling it for you. And it just pulls, man. It just keeps going.
Makes you wish you could just find some private track where you could just, see what it really can do.
Totally. Feels like we're in the Shenandoah Valley or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Without the mountains.
Without the mountains. Foot's down, 1 gear, 2 gear, foot's hard down, but it didn't, it's not racing. It didn't downshift all the way,
right.
So I don't know why.
You really have to use the paddles and put it in the right sport mode.
Well, that's normal mode, right? So now we get into sport mode.
Yeah.
Now the ride stiffens up.
Sure.
The steering stiffens up. Yeah, see now it changed a little bit more than that aggressively. Yeah. And the acceleration's much more aggressive.
Yeah, it feels visceral there.
Yeah. If you double pull on that trigger, it'll balance, it'll even out again. The trigger behind it. Your left finger, yeah. Pull, double. Huh, okay. Yeah, I would sample some music for you on this, but then YouTube would copyright flag it. And then I wouldn't be happy about that because I wouldn't be able to monetize this video. So, the whole point of YouTube is useless when things start to get nannied to the point of ridiculousness. So, you're just going to have to imagine the sound. That's all I can say. We haven't really cut off much time. Not that we're trying, but...
What's our ETA?
10:27. So we lost 9 minutes. We gained 9 minutes. 162 mile range. 162 mile... 162 to go. 175 mile range estimate.
So we may not have to refuel.
Well, I don't want to have to refuel in Houston proper in a car like this.
Sure.
For obvious reasons. And I'm not sure how big the fuel tank is on this. I don't think it would be any smaller than the current fuel tank in the RCF. I don't think there's a weight savings, and that's the other part of it. Are they going to stop at this, or are they going to do like a RCF GT3? And if they did an RCF GT3, in case Lexus is listening, they would have to work really hard on lightweight. Maybe they can't. Maybe they've thought about it and they can't. So there we go. My foot was down, but my foot wasn't all the way down. It was probably like 90% down on the accelerator, and it was just kind of like, I would almost say like fat fingering its way to red line. And then when I went 100%, it downshifted at like 5,000 RPM. So I'm frustrated with the pedal travel in relation to the gear change. I think the transmission logic, if anyone was going to do anything to improve this car, it would be the logic on the transmission to make it much more aggressive. Again, though, we could probably configure the individual mode, but not while we're driving, which Volkswagen does that on a few things, and I hate. It's like I wouldn't buy a Volkswagen just because of that. Like the GTR, the Nissan GTR, and the Honda R-Line, they have toggles. Where are my toggles? Like, give me a GT3, give me some toggles here.
Yeah.
I don't need a CD changer. Downshift, downshift. It's like a hesitation. And so when I encounter more and more of these little idiosyncrasies with the transmission and how the paddles are working and what mode I'm in, and it won't upshift when I want it to, it won't downshift unless it's in manual mode, and when I'm in automatic and it's in Sport Plus, and it won't downshift unless I really hammer it, like I lose confidence in the car. Maybe it's expecting like a certain amount of driving or a certain style, which is track driving, which is hard brake, turn the wheel, accelerate hard, and it's programmed for that. There is a program for that, and just though highway driving, because that's mostly what you're going to be doing here in Texas, is a straight line and a lane change and a lane change, and then maybe you get off and you get back on. It's not a racetrack, but it's still, as a GT, needs to be able to do that. Any GT should be able to do that. The Ferrari Roma, the Aston Martin DB11, all those cars I haven't driven, I would expect a GT to be really good at that. Get me to Houston, get me to Austin, get me to wherever. And it should be able to downshift, upshift, move, be smooth. And yeah, if I was expecting a really racy version of this, because this doesn't scream race car unless you look at it from the outside. But if I wanted a real race version, I want toggles for suspension, steering, brake bias, and the whatnot. Maybe even the transmission, speed. This whole thing would change. And then of course it wouldn't have the back seat, it would be lighter. And they've already got carbon fiber all over the outside, right? So how much lighter can they get on those areas? I know these wheels could probably be even lighter at 18 versus 20. They're already lighter, right? So maybe they shouldn't be bigger wheels, but unsprung weight and stuff, there's only so much more they can do to improve that.
Yeah.
And then it comes to the interior, and it's like, how many interior pieces do you have to remove? Oh, that sounds beautiful. Uphill. Gotta watch for the law. Anytime I see a bridge after going uphill, well, they're not really looking for speeders uphill. They're looking for speeders downhill. So
it sound even more
throaty.
Yeah, if it had an exhaust.
Oh man, if it had exhaust on that, because this is almost the first time I've heard the engine noise naturally up front rather than through the speakers. If it had a kick-ass killer exhaust, I'm not even talking like a cat back or cat delete or remove the muffler. Like if it just had I don't even know if it's straight piped or not, but
no, cat back would open it up quite a bit.
I don't even know. I haven't actually been able to see the exhaust headers.
Right.
There's not much room in there, but if someone could create something where there's more flow and more noise.
Yeah.
Let's put it in Sport Plus and see what that's like. Kind of the same. Yeah, the rides is too harsh. I don't even know how many miles we've gone, but we've used a quarter tank. Well, should we shoot this whole drive in one shot?
The whole drive?
Should we? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't think we have to.
No.
All right. I think we will break the video here and resume it when we get closer to Houston, because this is just kind of all the same over and over and over. Yeah, and maybe we'll have more opinions or better thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. So I just want to mention that every time I look in the mirror and I see that wing and just the way this thing is starting to sound now, I think it's opening up a little bit more. I feel like I'm in a serious car. I mean, there's like a lot of car happening here.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And people do move out of the way, but I think there's a lot of lane discipline here today, which is what makes this trip so much more enjoyable. So, we're still on our way. We have, hold on a second, 1,637 miles on the car and 2 hours to go. That's how it handles the hesitation. There you go.
Yeah. You want to talk about how painfully it feels when you're going 70 miles an hour?
Yeah, we've been doing 70 the whole way, and it is so painful. Yeah, I would say like 70 at this point for doing it for so long feels like 30, 40 miles an hour. Yeah.
You get stuck behind two semis, and it's just like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can do, but they should be in the right lane the whole time anyway, and they should be passing. Like, this is acceptable. I can handle this. What I can't handle is bulldozers like the one in front with no mud flaps. I always think like rocks are gonna fly up, and you know, like, what is the acceptable distance behind that stupid truck? Like, I don't want a rock chip in my window or, you know, on the carbon hood. Like, will he move over? Will he signal? Right? But you were mentioning something off camera that I have to have you mention on camera. What was that you were saying conveniently while the camera was off?
Right. Selective recall. I can't remember. What was I saying?
You were surprised that they didn't bump the horsepower.
Oh yes, especially on something that's limited edition like this. And you've really increased the stopping ability, the
gear ratios.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't driven the original RCF, so I couldn't tell you. But I would imagine
you're not missing anything on that original RCF. I'll just say that.
But if you put in, you know, something like a package like this where you're paying, you know, a 5-figure upgrade charge, I would have hoped they put like a, you know, 15, 20 more horsepower and just tuned it.
Yeah. It makes sense to bump the power, but maybe it really is at the maximum of some limit that they don't want to exceed.
Maybe some reliability limit.
You
hate it when I say that, don't you?
Yeah, because reliability is a myth, right? It is. Because you can tell me that a Corolla is more reliable than a 3 Series BMW, and I'd say, yeah, obviously. But you wouldn't know why. You would just know it, right? And then so what BMW does is they go, oh, well, maybe reliability is the fact that you have to take it in for service all the time. But then they extend their service interval to like 20,000 miles. And then people go, no, you can't go that far without an oil change. But BMW goes, yes, you can. And then the next thing you know is they go, oh, maybe we were wrong. Maybe it's 15,000 miles, but the service is on us. So you don't have to pay for it. So now it's cheaper, right? And they go through all this little head game stuff. And the reality is the reason why a Toyota Corolla is more reliable than anything else is because you're not going to drive a Corolla like you're going to drive this RCF. If you're not driving a Corolla to the limits, and if the limits aren't really even there, then you're not going to have a reliability issue because you're not doing anything with it. It's like, what do you do with your dishwasher? You just wash dishes. You're not cooking salmon in the freaking thing, right? You're not steaming vegetables. You're cleaning dishes. Although I have been known to use a dishwasher to
do what?
To thermally hold the heat of a lot of grilled meat. You put them in like aluminum pans, and then you put them on the you flip the bottom tray upside down so the tines aren't sticking up, and it's a flat tray. You put all the meat in there, and then it will seal the meat in the dishwasher because it's sanitized. You know, the dishwasher's sanitized, and you hold the meat in there and it stays hot and it doesn't dry out. Anyway.
Yeah, but say you take the dishwasher and you use it, let's say 2,000 times. I think certain manufacturers, you're going to have reliably, you know, something that's going to work and not require, you know, something, you know, work done to
okay. But you're using your dishwasher 2,000 times to wash dishes.
Mm-hmm.
This car, you're not doing it just to get to and from work. A Corolla is just to get to and from work. I'm not going to wash my clothes in a dishwasher. Although you have been known to wash clothes in the back of a Honda Ridgeline. Yeah. But that's multi-purpose, right? A Corolla does nothing but take you to and from work. And so you put on thousands of miles doing nothing but going back and forth to work. The most boring individual in your life is someone who does, I've had 250,000 miles on my Corolla. Well, they don't make a manual anymore, but remember the people who go, I got 200,000 on the original clutch. Like, good for you. Like, you've never done anything with it, right? But I have a Lexus RCF for the week at least that I put 1,000 miles on in 7 days. Well, that's cool. Just to go to Houston and back. I've done things and I didn't just commute. Or it might be, I have a Ferrari with 5,000 miles on it, but it lives at the racetrack, right? My Ferrari has 5,000 race miles on it. A Corolla reliability makes no sense. The only thing that this car can have that wouldn't allow the Lexus or Toyota engineers to bump the power is a limit on either its emissions or maybe the piston rings. Maybe there's something going on with just what they're comfortable with on the metal, whatever the block's made out of. Like, there could be some things, maybe cooling, maybe it's a cooling issue, right? I would think that though they would solve that, make a lighter version and add more power for a GT3 version if Lexus is listening.
Larger radiator or something.
Yeah. I mean, they don't even turbocharge. Is there a single, beyond the Supra, is there a single turbocharged Toyota?
Lexus, the 200Ts. Those are turbocharged.
Oh, those are crap though. I'm talking like real Lexus.
Yeah, I don't know.
Those are turbocharged for fuel efficiency and emissions and
sure,
you know, they're bottom of the line cars.
Sure. Well, I mean, you could say the same thing. I mean, it used to be the M4, M3 used to have a V8.
Right.
But now they went to the 6.
It always used to be a 6 though. The first M3 ever was a 4-cylinder.
Right, but they had a V8 in the was it the E92 or
but the E46 was an inline 6.
Right.
That was
a great motor.
That's the S54.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a double Vanos.
Dual Vanos.
Yeah.
Twice the pain. But
yeah.
And the E36 was the S52, and there was also the S50. But again, we're talking about like reliability in the sense of, a Corolla will not be reliable on a racetrack. I guarantee you, it's gonna blow, right? But people don't think about it like that. That's why I say reliability is a myth. It's not made for that. Just like this isn't made for commuting.
I don't know. I think you take it. Yeah, you're comparing a Corolla to
an RCF.
Take an RCF against a a 4 Series.
No. Take a Corolla to the track.
Yeah, but no one's gonna do that.
Is someone going to commute in this car? Just commute?
Yeah, somebody might.
No way. No way. No. Come on. This is the problem with reliability. No, it can't do everything, and it can't do everything perfectly all the time without problems. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Someone might commute with this.
It would enhance your commute.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would.
Your commute might be shorter.
Yeah. Like you said, I can make my way down to where we hang out all the time in
10 minutes. Yeah, you can get to where you need.
What normally takes me 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's fine. And I would rather have the Corolla in stop and go traffic than this. This doesn't have brake hold. It has a foot parking brake, which shows you how antiquated this architecture is. I have radar cruise, but it won't do like.
So you're telling me you would take a Corolla to your commute more than you would take this?
Yeah, I would. Because I drove the Prius Special Edition, the 2020 edition.
Okay.
But it's a 2021 model. It's a weird thing. It was to celebrate 20 years of the Prius, right? And it hit me because you have EVs now, right?
Right.
And so EVs don't have motors or engines, right? So you have to charge them all the time, and it takes a long time to charge them. But with the Prius, you can fill it with gas, and you can just go, and it takes you like 5 minutes. And it uses a tank of gas in a month, right? Let's just say you do 800 miles. You could probably get 800 miles in a month out of a Prius. But you can't do that in an electric vehicle, no matter what the brand is. So the luxury then becomes to bubble up to the surface. The luxury is I don't have to find something to do every third day, every fourth day to fill up 45 minutes to an hour and a half of my time when my car charges. Because there aren't any charging stations at the gyms. I'm not going to go to a movie theater once a week. Like, where do you charge these cars beyond home? And then when you have to come home and plug it in and then leave the house, unplug it, plug it in, unplug it, it becomes a pet. It becomes something you have to take care of. And no one can say, I like my Toyota because it's reliable because I change my oil every 400 miles. No one wants to have to take care of something. They want it to take care of them. So to have an electric vehicle and have to go plug, unplug, plug, unplug, plug, unplug, like every night or every other night. Granted, there's no oil change you have to do, but over time, you're just going to get tired of that, especially when you get caught out and get stuck with a dead battery. At least when you have a Prius and you're low, there are fuel stations everywhere and you can fill up in 5 minutes and get on your way. And you don't have to go back to a fuel station for a month, right? So getting back to reliability in EVs, this all makes sense to me. But I mean, there are pretty good EVs out there, like the Porsche Taycan and stuff, but they're still not practical. You could probably daily that and then take it to the track. I don't know about the reliability of it, but you're going to see a huge trend coming up where there will be electric vehicle trucks, right?
Right.
So the problem with trucks, pickup trucks, is that the transmissions go out, and that's because people tow with them. And I think what will happen is you'll see a huge surge in EV truck sales because no one has to worry about towing messing up the transmission. They have just an electric motor,
right,
or motors, right?
There's
no gears to worry about. There's no engine, that you have to change the oil on.
Engine, right.
So an electric vehicle truck might just be the most reliable vehicle if it can tow properly and it won't have a transmission to mess up.
As long as the door handles work properly.
Yeah, if the door handles work properly, and if the car can unlock when the battery dies,
right?
Like, that's just where we're gonna go with reliability, and that's fine. But right now, in the current day, when you talk about commuter cars versus race cars, and you want to say one brand is more reliable than the other, it's just impossible to do. You can't. It's not. There's no relationship that makes sense in that realm.
Yeah, if you talk about race cars.
But you can take this to the track.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can commute in it. You can take a Corolla to the track.
Why would you?
Because you can take a 3 Series or a 4 Series to the track.
Or M2.
Yeah. And you could. That's why, the problem in 20 years will be the lack of SUV, the lack of hatchbacks and coupes and cool cars that you can tune. You'll just have these Audi Q5s and stuff, and no one cares. I mean, what can you possibly do to that would make that cool? You could probably cannibalize the all-wheel drive system. And remember back in the day, those custom hot rods, they would chop the top in half.
Sure.
Yeah, you could probably do that to this Audi, and I think that's why they started coming out with sportback SUVs, like coupe-looking SUVs.
Right.
I mean, those might be why we have those now, because 10 years from now, no one's going to want a Q5, but they'll want the Q5 sportback or whatever they're going to call it.
Like BMW's X6.
Heard a little bit of a downshift. I didn't see what kind of braking we were doing there. The roads are definitely moist. Let's just say.
Starting to.
Yeah.
It's actually nice because it's supposed to rain all week long or something. Bye-bye, Tundra.
Sport mode. Interesting.
What's that?
I was 75% throttle and then went to 80% throttle just to accelerate in that gear, and it downshifted anyway. So I don't know. I don't know why it does that. It's unpredictable. I think the transmission is, I'm driving it like a manual, right? Where it's I'm in this gear, I'll be in this gear forever, so I might as well just run it out to redline. But the automatic thinks you want to dial up more speed, so I'll give you everything to get you the speed that you want. And so that's kind of where we're at, is I have a difference between speed and engine speed. I think that's a highway patrol guy. Do you see the tall antenna on the trunk?
Yeah.
Do you see his privilege?
Wow.
Sitting there in the left lane. Nah, it's a joke. Bad joke. I figured though, if I'm on YouTube, I might as well use all the keywords to see if maybe it bubbles my video to the surface, because I'm inclusive and blah blah blah, right? Ooh, that Durango's nasty.
Okay.
Damn. No, you know what I mean? Throw in all the keywords of all the latest buzz crap and see if that gets me more exposure through YouTube.
Right.
I don't know. The biggest problem with YouTube has been views. I've got 17,000 subscribers, which I'm thankful for. But then the video goes out and I get 200 views in 24 hours, which is to me not enough. And then in a week it'll have 1,000 views. So it's what's the point of counting subscribers if no one's going to watch videos? And what are people interested in if they're subscribed but not watching videos? I think they don't like the JDM stuff. I think
We've talked about this. I think you've got a good following of European car guys.
That's a possibility.
Yeah.
But it's not like I focused on that. I drive everything, and I just post it, and it is what it is, right? So for me to target like, oh, you know, we're gonna get all the AMGs and put them together and do a video and do this stuff, like, for me it makes no sense to continue to focus on just Japanese cars, but it makes no sense to focus just on German cars. There's a lot of good cars out there.
No, I think you do it. You get access to all the cars.
Yeah.
So, see what it's like.
I don't know what this guy's doing.
No, just controlling the flow with this presence.
With his privilege.
Easy.
Starving. Should have had a bagel or something with the coffee.
Right.
Oh, is there a water in there?
Oh, there is water.
Well, since there's nothing we can do, we'll stop the video until we can. Oh, thank you. All right, well, the law is still in front of us. I don't know if that's an undercover or a fake one or whatever, but he's driving like an idiot. And then the sky's really dark, so I don't know if it's going to rain soon or not. But now, if you look at our ETA, it says 10 a.m., 10:04, and it just told us that there is an accident ahead on the route. So I don't know if we're going to really shave half an hour off our original estimate, but not bad. What do you think, Yale?
Not bad, actually.
Yeah.
Just eats up the miles.
Yeah. We're currently doing 82, and it feels like 45.
Right?
Yeah, I can't explain this kind of speed. When I drove the Bugatti Chiron Pure Sport, this is kind of how it felt too. Just sort of like dull at this speed. So now we might have some freedom. But I think this is a pretty good GT car in my book.
Yeah.
I don't care for the way the transmission's behaving, but everything else has been great. The ride's been great. The brakes are phenomenal. So what we'll do is keep driving, and we'll catch up with you when we get to, I don't know, closer to the destination. Okay, well, we are now 36 miles or 37 minutes from our destination. We did shave off half an hour, but look where we are now. We are in stop-and-go traffic. Epic traffic. Welcome to Houston.
Ooh, there's a toll road.
A Hardy toll road. Should we take that?
We should definitely.
No cash. That's good. Thank you, Lexus, for paying the tolls today. We do have to be somewhere. Should we take the toll?
Yeah, we should take it.
How far is it?
2 miles.
No, well, we got 5 minutes.
Oh, no, I mean 2 miles to the toll road.
Yeah, we got 5 minutes to get to the toll road.
Yeah.
So it's tricky to get around this navigation system with this touchpad. If I wanted to change the settings or like add toll roads to this by modifying it, I don't even know where I would go to do that. Probably, yeah, you can't change the settings here. You probably have to go to menu, setup.
Might not even let you change the
Navigation. Yeah. So.
Safety reasons.
Yeah. Oh, here's why. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Good job, everybody. Good job.
Oh, she got rear-ended or something. Or slid.
Expectations versus reality. That's interesting.
What's that?
Do we need to take the toll road? I don't think so.
I would take it.
She's saying go straight.
Well, I had it pulled up. Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, I think you can go down to 45.
Okay.
That's fine. Don't take it.
Okay. We will continue to follow GPS sort of like an instrument rating flight path, flight plan. But I mean, I guess that's a downside to this technology. I never really noticed that with the Lexus nav systems.
I-45 south.
Some people like to use Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. I'm not that kind of person. I'd rather have the built-in database and the built-in voice control functions and everything that comes with that. So, call me old school. I mean, at least with the built-in nav system, if you had a car with heads up, it would show up there. And here I have the redundant display and the center display, so it'll show the navigation turn whenever I find it. There it is. So, yeah.
Old school.
No. Legit. It's legit.
Legit.
Yeah. All right, we'll catch up with you. All right, we're now within the view of the Houston city skyline, which some say is better than Dallas, but I highly disagree. And I just realized I'm driving one of only 60 RCFs, yeah. It's been a long drive. So there's only 60 of these, and I'm driving through rush hour traffic in Houston. So that's kind of a crazy thing to do, actually. Sort of like when I drove the Bugatti Chiron out here. So I don't know. Would you guys do that? Would you drive one of these cars through city traffic like this? Let me know. But so far, having to drive in more of a tame, I say tame, we're only doing 89 miles an hour right now. We're just keeping up with the flow of traffic. But when we do go back down to like the traffic stop and go speeds here, below 3,000 RPM, there's some pretty hefty engine braking in sport mode. And I kind of like that because I don't have to tap the brakes much, but I love the brakes on this car. If these brakes would be on every car, I think we'd have 0 accidents on the roads. These brakes do everything. Because you felt me put my foot into it hard,
Sure.
but that still wasn't hard braking. It was just good braking. I didn't even need to use more of it. So that's hard to find in cars these days. They certainly did not skip out on that. The engineers won on that aspect. So you know how it's always like a fight between the bean counters and the engineers. Thank God for the engineers. Yeah. So we are 14 minutes away. I think we'll just keep the camera running.
I-45 south, and then I-45 south is on the right.
Okay. Just kind of give you guys all a shot as we come in hot here to the NRG Center for the Houston Auto Show, which normally they get us a hotel room, so the media, being us, media gets to stay in the hotel for the night, and then there's like a preview party for the auto show. I-45 South downtown. Yeah, that's right. So part of that preview is you get to stay in the hotel. Move over one.
I-45 south is on the right, and then
We're good.
I-45 south is on the right.
Got to navigate through all this. Cool shot though. Yeah. And we're in sport mode. Feels kind of rough now, so what I'll do is go push down into normal. There's no comfort, but normal is comfortable. And we'll just, take it easy as we go through here. We're still doing 67 miles an hour. It feels like 30, which is odd. And we're out of cup holders, so I'm just laying the bottle down here. And that pocket
south is on the right.
doesn't actually fit my cell phone, so I can't put my phone in there horizontally.
Yeah.
blind spot, which really matters right now. Okay, so no specific information here on what I'm supposed to do.
You're just supposed to stay on this road.
Stay right here, yeah.
In 2 miles, TX 288 south is on the right.
This looks like a fun road, like if it was closed off.
Right?
Yeah, like like a Grand Prix racetrack. The Houston Grand Prix on I-45. They'd still have to smooth it out though. It's a little bumpy. What I don't get is there's like a blank space here for the cabin, filter that they could have done, but instead I have to go into the menu and then go over to climate and then go to options and then go right there for the cabin filter. And I wish it was just a button. Sort of like there's no heated seats in the LC. It'd be like, oh, where's the button for the seats? You have to go through this menu.
South is on the right.
Okay. I wish I could convey these brakes to you on camera a little bit better than I am, because they are so strong and feel so good. Okay, so the exit's 46B.
Oh, they want you to get on 288. You're going to move over one to the left.
2, 3, 4 lanes.
Oh.
46B. No, we're on it right here. This exit.
Yeah, but make sure you go 288. So.
Continue on TX 288 south.
It's starting to rain.
Something else I noticed with this nav system is I can't adjust the nav volume just by using the volume button while it's talking. In a lot of cars, you can do that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That was a brave moment. Okay. That bump there looked pretty scary. And I don't notice if it's actually regular intermittent wipers or if they are rain sensing wipers, but it feels like they're not rain sensing. I can adjust the sensitivity here, but they don't auto turn on or anything. So
it doesn't say auto on there either.
No. And then what's nice though is you can go through like people in front of you will go through a puddle and they'll splash up a bunch of spray, and all I have to do is just hit this down hard, not hard, but all the way down once, and it auto turns on the fastest wipers. So if you're on a track, it makes sense. Like people hit puddles, you just hit that, and it just goes, and it stays that way. You whack it up, and it goes back to off. And then there's like little detents for one thing at a time. Like this is up once, turns it off. So it's just a non-traditional. I've never actually had a wiper stock that would go back to normal, and you're not sure what mode you're in. And some of the cars have like a light to tell you what's on. Or in the Hyundai, you see like in the screen, it would tell you, which is really good to have. But here I get nothing. I just have to guess. So, okay, I think we get off soon, right? 8 minutes, 4.9 miles to go.
In 2 miles, I-610 is on the right.
And this is actually a pretty comfortable ride in the rain. It's not all over the place. It's not jittery. It's not scary. It's totally controlled. It's not like that Mini though, that Mini GP that we had a couple weeks ago. We both drove. That GP was actually better in the rain. Okay, so 288 south. how did we function before GPS? We just had maps, right?
Huh.
We memorized it. It was like we memorized 4 or 5 different freeways.
Right.
Oh, let's take the 405 to the 210 to the 110 to the 8, whatever. And now I can't keep up with anything.
Yeah. Just enough to get home.
10 is on the right.
Get to work.
And then keep right onto I-610 West.
It's like cell phones. How do we manage to live without cell phones? Or you're gonna go meet somebody in town?
Yeah. Do we get off here? No.
Oh, keep going.
But everything's blocked off. How do we get off over there?
288? I don't know.
In half of a mile, keep right onto
The 610 gets
West.
close to the
Keep right
energy.
onto I-610
You'll be fine.
West. And
Ah,
then
okay.
Keep left onto I-610 West.
Interesting. I wonder what they're doing. Construction. Just
In half of a mile,
Building
keep
out.
left onto I-610 West.
So how are we doing on fuel?
Keep left.
We have a
onto
quarter tank left.
Oh wow.
I-610
Yeah.
West.
So I might have to take it back. It doesn't. I mean, seems like yeah, it's a V8, but with this longer trip.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we did with this car today is what this car was actually made for. Because it's not really set up for a racetrack without like a GT3 version, like, you know, lightweight and hardcore. This is really still, hey, you can take this all the way to Houston and back. And if you really wanted to go to the track, you can. And I get it. And so for fuel economy, let's see where we're at here. I think we go that way. Range is 57, and we have 1.2 miles to go.
1C is on
Pretty
the
good.
right.
We're gonna exit here. Wow,
In half of a
hardly using the
mile,
brake.
Keep right. Slow traffic.
This is great. Oh, man. Oh, maybe we did take... Oh, no, that exit's blocked off. Welcome to Houston. Pretty effortless, huh?
Yeah. Just eats up the miles.
I think I'll make you drive on the way back.
No complaints here.
Right? I might take a nap and
Sure.
do some uploading on YouTube or whatever. Reply to comments. No, I don't do that.
Gas is cheaper here in Houston.
Oh, what's the price?
$2.59.
What?
30 cents cheaper than Dallas, which is $1 cheaper than LA.
Just
At
$1?
least- At least.
Yeah, I mean, you're
Oh,
guessing there. It's
gosh,
probably,
yeah.
I would guess $2. Oh, we make a
Keep
right. There's an Energy Stadium. That's where we're going.
In a quarter of a mile, your destination is ahead.
Well,
I think that used to be the Crown Plaza.
Your destination is
yeah.
ahead. You have arrived at your destination. The route guidance is now finished.
Appointments are not required. Okay. Yeah, we have to go to the convention center thing, which I think is
Probably up here on the right.
yeah, coming up. I've been there before, but from the other side. I think it's right here. Yeah.
I've done an event here. Staff only. Where's she parked?
Come on, man. Hey, you can turn that off for a second. Yeah.
Ooh, the Astrodome.
Ooh, the auto show. Yeah, this is like one of the very rare times where it's not raining, which is good.
Yeah.
So the auto show's in the building on the left. We're just gonna park over on the right. We'll do a walk around on this car just to show you what it looks like. And yeah. Yeah. Every time I've come here for the auto show, it's been raining, but this is a reprieve. Funky lip. We made it over that. No flex. You know what we'll do? I'll park it around and over so we can get a better view of it. Park it right here. Cool.
Cool.
All right. Well, we made it way ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment. More to come. See ya.
See ya.